I would love to ask this question. I ask this to pretty much everyone. I have my reasons. Um, do
Nine
you?
inches. Oh no, that's not the question. My bad.
It's eight actually. Uh, anyway, do you think looks are important?
Yeah, I mean, looks are definitely important. I mean, if you think that looks aren't important, then then I would be curious to see anyone who says looks aren't important. I would be curious to see like what the rationale is because um, everywhere. I mean, look, like it doesn't mean that you can't improve your looks. I mean, here's the thing, right? I'm a big believer in the looks maxing. You know, you can do different things to grow your beard in fuller. I have now a very regimented skincare routine. I think there's like six or seven different things I use every single day for my skin. You know, I remember one of my old YouTube videos. There was a comment under it that said it was actually pretty funny. I usually don't look at like the hate comments too much, but when a hate comment is hilarious, I'll always kind of remember it. This one person posted, "Your face looks like a squished American quarter." Basically saying there was like my face was like wrinkly and like looked shitty, and I thought it was kind of funny. But I was like, you know what? Maybe there's actually things I can do to fix my face. So I immediately kind of like I actually took it to heart and I was like, all right, what kind of skincare regimen can I do? The cool thing about being a guy, right, is as we get older, we end up looking more like Sean Connery. Unfortunately for women, when they get older, they also end up looking more like Sean Connery, right? So, like as men, you know, despite that crass joke, right? As men, there's so many things we can do. I mean, I look at least 2 points more attractive now than I was 2 years ago. In a year, I will look at least zero point 0.5 you know, on this random unit of measure, right? I'm going to be zero point 0.5 better looking probably every year for the next 3, 4 years, right? As men, we can always, as men, the better, you know, we can always get more fit. We can always fix our skin. We can always get better hair. We can always get fuller hair. Though what's cool about looks is the more hygienic you are, the better looking you are in most cases. You probably can't get taller, right? At the end of the day, height is probably the number one factor, just physically and objectively, when it comes to looks that women value, right? But you can't fix your height, so you fix it. What you know, you fix what you can, and anything you can't fix, then you don't worry about, right? But yeah, I think LMS, looks, money, status, those are massive factors, but those are factors that take longer than a night to fix. So while you should be fixing those things, you can't let it stop you from approaching and taking your best shot. I always say there's two pie charts. There's the pie chart that is your surface of influence. So it's your ability to game, right? It's your ability to persuade. What kind of game can you run on the girl in the London Tube, right? You see a girl in the street, how can you persuade her and convince her to go on a date with you or go home with you? Then the other pie chart is just what makes up you. I call it actually the 8 pillars of being an elevated man. And we can go through them at some point if you want, but essentially it's all of the pillars. It's looks, money, status. It's your logistics, your frame control. You know, there's several other things there that TCP, taste, culture, preferences, right? Do you know what wine to order? Do you know, do you know what items to order? What restaurants are the best restaurants you should be going to? Various things like this, right? So the chart of do looks matter? I think looks is about 1/8 of what makes up a man. I call it the elevated man, and the whole point of that is to if you're someone who's like, oh, money doesn't matter, well, then you probably aren't prioritizing your income or bettering your wealth. You're probably just kind of being a hater of other guys who are more successful. If you're saying looks don't matter, well, you're probably not putting enough attention to your looks because the woman you're going to be with deserves a man who cares about his looks, right? I mean, if you're not going to do it for yourself, do it for the girl that you're going to be with because she definitely wants to be with a guy who looks better. So yeah, I mean, looks shouldn't stop you from approaching. You can, I was 350 pounds hooking up with, I don't know, sometimes 4 or 5 girls at once. I mean, I used to post it on my Snapchat. I mean, you know, the one thing that people remember me for is definitely my, you know, the closes that I used to document closes. I used to be pretty crass with it when I was younger. And I would be I remember one time looking at a video that a girl and I made of me hooking up with her, and my fat actually like rolled around her entirely. You almost couldn't even see her except for her hair flowing in the back. It was pretty funny. And I just remember like do looks matter? Absolutely, they matter. But you can overcome. You know, it's kind of like a equalizer, right? A music equalizer. You can if you have perfect logistics, if you have really tight game, then yeah, you can get away with having bad looks. But you should just do yourself a favor and focus on making yourself better looking, just like you should increase your status, just like you should increase your income as well.
I really like that analogy about the equalizer. You can improve various levels and balance it out.
For
That's
sure.
interesting.
What I call it the two different pie charts is because with game, I can take a guy in an hour and I can get him laid within, within an hour. I can show a guy how to get laid every night he goes out with a girl that's, slightly better than he is at least, right? Takes about a month or two to get him results with like actual 9s and 10s. Women who are signed models, who are 21 to 25 years old, who have a lot going for themselves. But at this point, I've probably coached 13,000, 14,000 guys in that process. And again, in about an hour, I can show a guy how to get a phone number every single time. I can show a guy how to get a kiss pretty much every single time, not flake, things like this. Maybe 2 hours at the most. It depends on kind of how much of how much experience he has or not. So at the same time, you can't get better looking really in 2 hours, right? You're not going to increase your wealth in 2 hours. Your status, there's some things you do to increase your status, but 2 hours is a short time. So what you have to do is really think about both of those pie charts. How can you be more persuasive? How can you get more buy-in from the person you're talking to? Either a high net worth individual, a male, or an extremely attractive girl. But the problem with that is, for example, I have some guys say that, they're like, oh, do I have to game this girl forever? Or can I kind of drop the shtick at some point? And I'm like, no. Game is you at some point, what game means, right, is your je ne sais quoi, your verbal ability to win somebody over. And it's like this. If you use money to get a girl and then you stop having any money, well, if you use money to get her and you don't have any more money, then of course, why would she stay with you? It's like if you use jokes and humor to get a girl and you suddenly get very depressed, I wouldn't expect her to stay with you. You know what I mean? It's as men, we're not loved unconditionally. What do they say? Only women and dogs are loved unconditionally. Men, we're loved for the things that we can provide. And whether you like that or not, it's a little bit of like a red pill concept, but it's a very true concept. I think it's some comedian actually even said something along those lines. Maybe it was Chris Rock or something like that.
Chris Rock, yeah.
Only women, children, and dogs are loved unconditionally. A man is only loved under the condition that he provides something, okay? I once heard my grandmother say, a broke man is like a broke hand. Can't do nothing with it. What kind of gangster shit is that? That's right. Women, children, and dogs are loved unconditionally. When you meet a new girl, what do your friends ask you? What she look like? Lady, when you meet a new guy, what do your friends ask you? What does he do? What the fuck does that nigga do that can help you out? Can this motherfucker facilitate a dream or not?
Yeah, exactly. But it's very true though, right? And I actually love that. I think that some guys, in the incel community or red pill or, guys in this, like in the creepy manosphere kind of community, look at that as a negative and they kind of like bash women for it. I just look at it as a roadmap, right? It's like, oh, okay. If the only people that should get mad about that are men who don't think that they bring enough to the table, and then therefore they're depressed about that. But in reality, it's not that hard to get funnier. It's not that hard to make some money. It's not that hard to lose weight. It's not that hard to learn some game. But some people I think are kind of stuck like their feet in quicksand, preventing them from improving. You have to realize what got you here won't get you there. So you have to fix that with yourself.